Well, there isn't one of us who doesn't owe a huge debt of gratitude to those people who have taught us. I think about my teachers in grade school, high school, college, graduate school, the formators that I had in the seminary. And today I'm especially thinking about the Sisters of St. Joseph, who taught me when I was a high school student at St. Veronica High School in Ambridge. They were wonderful teachers. They really prepared me well for my formal education that came afterwards. But I got to tell you that the building that we learned in high school left a lot to be desired. The high school building that we used was condemned. It was a condemned building by the Ambridge School Board in 1942. And I graduated in 1967. So for 25 years, we used a condemned building. The parish only had to pay $1 a year to the Ambridge municipality for use of the building. And just to give you a picture of what we had as our environment for education, when we were freshmen, my classmates and I were freshmen, room 105 had been the coal cellar. Okay, and for those of you who are graying at the temples, you know that that's the way that most buildings were heated. You had to use coal to be able to heat your house or heat a school. And there was just a little door that you entered to get your coal. So now this was converted to one of our classrooms. It was the classroom where we had 3 classes a day. That's where we studied English, geography as we called it then, and religion. So if you can picture this at the change of classes, when we would come to room 105, we had to get down on our knees and crawl through the entranceway to get into the classroom. And so that meant that we had to put aside our books and notepads and notebooks that we were taking into the class to get into the classroom. I mean, that almost sounds hard to believe, but that's exactly the way things were back in the 1960s. There's no way in the world that could ever pass muster today, but that's what we had when we studied as freshmen in 1963. I think you get the picture. When I'm talking about us moving into that coal cellar to do our studies, to do our formal classes in high school, we had to get into that classroom through a narrow door. And we had to get rid of everything else that couldn't get in the way of our bodies getting in through that narrow door. And to make sure that we did it rather quickly because all the other classmates had to come in as well too. Visually, that gives some sense of what Jesus is trying to say in today's gospel when he speaks about entering through the narrow gate. And what Jesus is in fact reminding all of us is that to enter through the narrow gate to get into heaven means we got to get rid of all the excess baggage that is preventing us to get through that gate. And today's a good time for us to take stock of that. What is there about my life today, and what is there about your life today that's getting in the way of us getting closer to heaven? Is it our penchant to gossip? Is it our ability to make rash judgments about other people? Is there something about our language that stands in the way of us getting closer to the Lord? Are our passions getting in the way? Is our materialism something that's getting in the way? Is our prejudice or bigotry getting in the way? Is our holding resentments against other people getting in the way? All of us have got to do a little examination of conscience today if we're going to take Jesus' teaching seriously. As much as you and I can be ever grateful for the teachers who taught us in grade school, high school, college, graduate school, in terms of any professional training that we've had, all of those teachers pale in comparison to the greatest of all teachers, and it's Jesus himself. And he gives us a challenge and a homework assignment that's very practical. Come in through the narrow gate if you want to get to heaven. and be willing to get rid of everything that stands in the way of you being able to get in through the gate.